So a very, very big congratulations. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
We're going to ask you a couple of questions in a minute. So we're going to get into sort of what does it look like, what does it feel like, how do you actually become the firm of the future. Before we do that, I know we've got a short video that actually highlights some of the great work that you've done. So if we could play the video, please.
Our topic today is going to be apps. Education has always been a big part of my life. I think it comes from both of my parents being teachers. You always have to keep learning.
We can track the effectiveness of the marketing campaign. Two things I have always believed in business: never stop selling and never stop learning.
Don't look at how far you have to go, look at what you've accomplished.
We have a coach, and that more than anything is to push us.
It's all about educating ourselves and then helping educate others and providing them with a means to solve the pain point for them. We are Steve and Juliet of AIS Solutions and Ninja Network.
And we are the firm of the future. We absolutely love the ability to use QuickBooks Online anywhere, anytime. AIS Solutions is our bookkeeping for small business clients. We've encountered so many challenges in growing. Nina is our avatar for Ninja. So Ninja really grew out of the pain points of what we encountered trying to grow AIS Solutions.
Good morning.
What am I grateful for?
Our Ninja Network is a relatively new business, launched it less than a year ago. It is an education and training and support community to help bookkeepers build their practice.
AIS Solutions, we service small and medium-sized business clients. What we're looking for is, are the financial statements important to them? So our Wall of Fame represents all the certifications that our team have achieved with QuickBooks Online, as well as the various app partners.
It is the apps and the ecosystem that is making the difference.
Everyone spends a great deal of their life at the office.
Happy birthday to you.
You have to be able to laugh and relax with your team in order for them to also be able to take care of our clients.
You're doing a fine job.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Our work life also goes home with us. And our daughter has commented several times, you know, you guys talk about work a lot. And so we try very hard for work to stay at work.
Education is certainly what we're about, and it's certainly our future, I think. Because the more we can all improve, the better that helps everyone. And we just want to make sure we have a small part in doing that.
We've got a few minutes here to ask you some questions, and last night I'm sure this felt particularly awkward because I was asking you a few questions to try and tease some things out. But Juliet, you were telling me a story, and let me just set you up here and then ask you a question about it. I was asking you kind of where your passion came from and how you got started, and the story you were telling me was that 17 years ago you were working for a large firm. You were in accounting, you were working for a large firm, and you made what I think is a courageous decision to say that because you wanted to spend more time at home with your daughter, who we saw in the video there, you actually wanted to go it alone. And what that meant was you looked at your finances and you had enough money for 6 months. It meant that your first office was your bedroom. And as you told that story, I certainly felt kind of, you know, that passion and frankly that bravery as well. And so could you just tell us a little bit more, you know, when you first started that journey 17 years ago, what were you hoping to accomplish?
Did you also pick up on the fear that I was?
I did. I call it bravery though.
Okay. It was absolutely fear. I'm not sure that I ever thought 17 years from now this is where we would be. At the time it was only to be able to spend more time with my daughter, to be able to read her a book, to spend some time in the afternoon when she was having a nap I would work. And that was really all it was about. It was giving myself some freedom to spend some time with her.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but that's, I mean, and I'm glad that worked so well. And I know that, again, as I was sort of prying you, I asked you, lots of times people say getting that first client is the hardest, and you talked about how your real estate agent was your first client.
Yes.
And so, was that was the hardest first hurdle, was gathering those clients?
It wasn't even that I had such a hard time asking for business. So I just kind of mentioned to my real estate agent, you know, I've kind of done this. If you know of anybody, and she became my first client. She got me my first referral, so it kind of snowballed from there. But asking for the first client was absolutely the hardest.
Yeah, yeah. And then you'd mentioned that it was then fast forward all the way to 2010. And 2010 was when you almost decided to sort of go to the cloud, almost before the cloud was really sort of fully there.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that decision and what led you there and what did you mean by going to the cloud in 2010?
Well, in 2010 is when we moved the business out of my house and into a formal office. And that was all, because of Steve being tired of me working all the time and there being no split between my home life and my work life. And so we decided to move into an office space. We found that there was a big disparity going from office to office, and it wasn't very efficient, that we couldn't really understand what everyone was doing on the team, and so decided to move everything in-house. It was hosted desktop, QuickBooks Desktop at the time. Cloud didn't exist. We called it remote hosted bookkeeping services. Really, really slick term there. But that was what we called it. And it kind of just morphed from there.
And how, what was the client's reactions? Because today, obviously, it's easier than it was certainly 7 years ago in terms of persuading small businesses of the benefits of the cloud.
Yes.
But back then, how did you try to communicate that benefit or that message?
I think more than anything, it was selling the advantages to them. Before we would be able to go into their office 1 day a week or 2 days a week, with it being on the cloud, we were able to log on for 2 hours every day.
Yep.
So they actually got more coverage from us for the same amount of time. So it was being able to project to them how it was an advantage to them.
And if that, over the course of the 7 years, if you were talking to a new client right now and you were speaking to the benefits, how has that message sort of evolved?
It absolutely is still the benefit of being able to provide flexible services, that they can do pieces, we can do pieces, but more than anything, it's real-time accounting financials that we're able to provide that you can't do with the traditional methods and on-site.
Yep. Okay, awesome, thank you. I should disclose as well, as you see some affectionate knee touching here, Juliet and Steve are husband and wife.
Yes.
Just to clear that up.
So we just assume that everybody knows that.
Yes.
I think they do now.
Now they know, yeah, for sure. So Steve, perhaps I can come to you. I know that, when we looked at your submission, you mentioned that 87% of all of your leads within the firm come from digital. And there was two things I was impressed about. One, that you were that specific about knowing exactly where your leads come from. And two, the fact that, almost 9 out of 10 leads come from digital. So could you speak for a little bit about sort of what your firm does and then what other firms can do to obviously sort of follow that path?
Sure. I guess the statistics are, right? Everybody's looking online. That's where they start their research. And so we knew we needed to have a big presence online. And we also knew from our business coach who hammered home to us, test and measure, test and measure, test and measure, that whatever kind of marketing we do, we need to measure it. And so the great thing about digital is you can measure everything, whether it be search engine optimization on your website, social media, email marketing, it's all measurable. And so you can really start looking at, am I getting the ROI from the financial investment, the time investment? And we do all of those things. We do Google AdWords, Facebook ads, social media, because it works. And we do it every day of the year, and we absolutely measure everything. And the only advice I would give to anyone, if you're not currently online, why not? I guess would be the first comment, because that's where all of your potential clients are, or the vast majority of them are. And, I know we still rely on networking and referrals because we still network, we still get referrals. The challenge with networking, it takes your time, it takes your resources. The challenge with referrals, unless you can explain to someone, like I guess a 4-year-old, exactly what you do, a lot of times the referrals you get are not necessarily the referrals you're looking for. Where with digital, it works 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, never sleeps, and you just refine your messaging and how you're doing your marketing so that the kind of leads you're looking for are those that are being attracted to your business.
And Steve, what popped in your submission as well, one of the things that popped for me was you talked about, you use LinkedIn, you use Facebook, you use a whole bunch of mediums, but then you view the job of your website to actually filter leads as well. And so when they come to your website, you have complete control of the messaging. And so at that point, you're okay if the funnel was wide because you will hopefully filter out the people that you didn't really want as a client and attract those that do. Can you just speak to that for a moment?
Sure. And the messaging, as you mentioned, is the biggest part of it, and it honestly is a work in progress. I mean, it's never finished. Where every time we get some new leads that come in, and there's one that sort of filters through or slips through the cracks, as we call them. Then we go back to doing the messaging, but it's never finished.
Yeah.
It's something you have to keep working on.
Let me ask you, Julia, ask you a little bit about apps. It was certainly in the video, and it's interesting to us. We work with fantastic app partners, but still, there's about 2/3 of accountants that aren't using apps, and there's about 1/3 of accountants that are. Now, obviously, those numbers increase all the time and will continue to. You've been on the front end of that adoption. Can you talk a little bit about some of the apps that you use and the value of using those apps and why it's so important in your firm?
Absolutely. So probably the main suite of apps that we use are T-Sheets, which is Fathom, HubDoc, Pluto, and Waypoint. Those are kind of standard apps that we use in our firm. More than anything, it is to make us more efficient, to create a workflow that we can follow through, and to be able to turn things around faster for our clients to give them real-time financials. And to solve pain points for our clients. Time tracking has always been a pain for our clients. Sending us bank statements and credit card statements has been a problem for them. And so we remove the barriers that would delay the bookkeeping. And that's what the apps do for us and for our clients.
Got it. And in your submission, and I've written this down to make sure I get the numbers right, in your submission you said that your monthly bookkeeping used to take 20 hours per month per client when you were using desktop and sort of pre-apps. And now with cloud and apps, that's gone from 20 hours a month a client to about 3.5 hours a month a client.
So it's actually gotten better, and that is actually our internal bookkeeping.
Okay.
So it was only our invoicing process. So it used to take us about 3 days to do our monthly invoicing. We're flat fee, value pricing, everything gets billed at the beginning of the month. That was with desktop. We moved to QBO, integrated apps, and streamlined the whole process. And I think we are now down to about 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's amazing. 20 hours. 3 days. And again, I think the fact that you guys are measuring this so closely as well, I think is another thing, that you know where the pain points are and therefore where the efficiency opportunities are, and then you test, to your point. You just briefly touched upon there about value billing. That's another interesting statistic where more and more accountants are realizing that time-based billing is always going to be a gating factor for them, whereas value billing allows them to be more successful. When did you move to value billing, and how do you communicate that to clients? Steve?
Okay.
All right. There's the hand on the knee is removed. Things are getting awkward.
So we have been doing flat fee billing, is what we called it, value pricing, again, a fairly new term in the industry, since 2010. Steve's background is small business. He started one small business after another. And so when we were trying to identify how we wanted to price everything out, we thought, well, what are the pain points? What were the pain points for you as you were running your businesses? And one of the biggest one is you never know what your costs are, what your expenses are. So we said, okay, let's come up with a flat fee structure so that the business owner always knows every month what it is they're going to pay. And so I guess we migrated from fixed fee to value pricing in, I'd say, 2012-13, where even though we're providing the same services for multiple clients, they are different fee structures. And our clients love it. They love being able to pick up the phone whenever they want and not know, and know that they're not going to get a bill for that phone call. And we become much more of a partner to them than, I guess, an expense.
Got it. And do you have tiers? I know some firms have like 3 tiers, or do you customize it per client?
It's customized per client, but each client gets 3 packages to choose from.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Awesome, and that's great advice, I think, for folks out there. In our last couple of minutes, another thing that certainly made AIS stand out was, while having a very successful accounting practice, you then 12 months ago developed a training network. network, the Ninja network. Could you speak, maybe Steve, a little bit more about what was the thought process there and sort of what are you doing?
Yeah, and we started Ninja really for ourselves, to help our own team, to help train our own team as we bring in new people. And although there's lots of great resources out there, there didn't seem to be one place we could go and find everything we were looking for. And so we kept kind of hoping someone would come up with that. And they didn't, and so we were sitting on a beach in the Caribbean somewhere with more than one glass of wine, I think, and said, okay, well, if no one else is going to do this, what the heck? And so that's what we did. And so it was probably a year and a half in the planning, and then we launched December 1st of last year. And it really is basically a training and support community aimed at bookkeepers to try and help them learn from the mistakes we've made, because we've certainly made more than our share of mistakes, and to help them build the kind of practice that they want. And so that's what Ninja is all about.
Got it. And will this grow into a separate business over time? Will this be a sort of accompanying business to the accounting practice, bookkeeping practice?
Yes, it will become a separate.
Well, okay, all right. I sense that I should not ask a follow-up question. TBD. Well, look, we're right at time here, and so I think once again, there's so much that everybody could learn from the pioneers in this space, and while there's just tremendous opportunity everywhere, I think you guys are measuring. You guys are looking at the value of training as well as sort of the core practices within the firm. I think whether it's things like billing, whether it's things like apps, it sounds like you guys went all in. You went all in early, and you're now reaping the benefits of that, which is so a huge congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Firm of the Future winner. Far more valuable than $30,000 and lots of marketing support is on my team, on the leadership team, we had these jackets made up, and so they're nice Patagonia jackets, and they have their QuickBooks emblem on the side. And the only people that have these are the folks on the leadership team, and so we actually want to give you guys a couple of these jackets as extended members of our team now as well. So thank you very much. We are through now the products. We are through now the fantastic Firm of the Future winner for this year, and